We had done the Nations Cup and ended up getting a podium finish. So we're going to cover some daily races just before we get finished up for the day. That was another stream. Go and give it a watch if you were involved in the Nations Cup and fancy seeing how that went. We do, however, now have the final round done, which means the calculations will be done for where everybody's sitting and what the final points will be. So as soon as we get updated on that, you'll be updated. Um, so we're getting ready to do some daily races. We'll let a few people come in and get themselves sorted and comfortable, like myself. So enjoy the best cinematics that Gran Turismo has to offer at the minute. Okay, we're just about sorted. I can see one person has tuned in, just in case you're curious. Mount Panorama is the daily race that we'll be doing. I am going to give the GR4 on Watkins Glen, however, a shot as well. So, I mean, if that's something that you're interested in, I don't like Watkins Glen all that much, but it's a GR4 car and I'm a sucker for them. Um, it's not that they're slower or sluggish or easier to drive. I, I'm on the fence about that. I don't think GR4 cars are easier to drive than GR3 cars in other senses. Yes, maybe a bit slower or, but taking corners in those cars compared to the GR3 cars is completely different. Well and truly completely different. And that's I think that's a common misconception with driving in the different, like grades of car. Totally looked at the wrong way. I do feel like in the more longer races, fair enough, but again, like GR3 cars, just they're not slow enough or tweaked almost enough, especially to withstand like longer races. If you're in a GR3 car and you've got a long race ahead of you, that's going to be a world more tricky than it is doing it in the GR4. Um, as well as opportunities to overtake, taking corners better. Sometimes driving a GR4 car, you'll see better corners for when you're driving your GR3 car. Like you'll just see corners in different light, and that's also something that you put into your laps, that you end up putting into your races. Or we done the last round of the Nations Cup and got third, 20 laps, one required pit stop, which was the tyres. Aside from that, like the only reason I got that was by watching somebody else a lot higher than me in the world taking their points for braking, taking their points for turning, um, even trail braking, like out of like when do you start to lift off the brake? What's a perfect point for that? Um, and that's seen us through to third place. It wasn't bad. We could have had first. The tyres wore out. Somebody made a smart decision just before the end of the race, which then concluded in them taking over and actually getting like a quarter of a lap in front. Um, that was done by him switching back to the soft tyres. It only took him about 2 laps to catch up. My medium tyres were about a quarter completely finished, which obviously sealed the fate for us. But then there was a couple of laps just at the end, like tyres were just giving way, and it was medium tyres as well. It wasn't like slippy softs where you're kind of able to control that if you're going decent enough pace. But the hard tyres and the mediums, if you don't change them at the right point, that's you. That's you for the rest of the race, unfortunately. Right, I'm just about finished. Just about. Anybody watching, take a little look at the post on the YouTube channel just now. You've got a minute or two. There's a hoodie giveaway for the channel. You do have to be subscribed, but if that's something you fancy, it's the first merch drop that we're doing, and it'll be a pretty big one. Well, it's a big thing for us, and for that to market, we're going to give away, one of the first bits of merchandise that is dropping. The 1st of March is the last entry for that. So make sure you comment on it and make sure I know who I'm contacting. Should you be picked? Right, we are. So, welcome to whoever is here. Unfortunately, as I said before, the points for the last round of the Nations Cup won't be up at the minute. However, I can give you a little bogle, that means look, at where we are currently before the round six points get added here. Decent race, not so decent race, decent race. Don't even know what happened there. Definitely wasn't a decent race anyway. Um, I was an alright finish there as well. To be honest, we've not done bad. 101 points, we can't complain. Driver rating has nothing to do with this. I was at the top of driver rating C at the very start of the cup. That is exactly just how things happen. There was a couple that I did leave down to the fact of being like maybe a lap behind and the driver rating done that you would get anyway. I would just be as well leaving and doing some other practice potentially. So instead, it was such a good lineup as well. Like honestly, such a good lineup. And they do that. Sometimes it's not so great. There was a cup that was all GR3. Um, Nations Cup's a bit different. That puts you in with like all the same cars. And the manufacturers cup, you're driving for different manufacturers, so of course you'll be in different cars for that. Watkins Glen off. It's calling my name. 4 laps. Should we repair the driver rating, or should we make it worse by doing our favorite track? I'm in two minds. I'm still at the bottom with that. I can't do any better than Mr. Holder, a regular viewer. He's constantly got really good times. Regs, that's a good time as well. We're usually pretty close on times, me and Regs. 2 minutes 5, 2 minutes 2. GT Racing YouTube, of course, with an unstoppable time of 2 minutes point 8. Um, I really do think like if he was to sign up or qualify for the World Series, he would do very well. Like the actual main World Series, I think he would do very well. If you've not looked him up, go and look him up on YouTube. He's definitely a lot higher up in the world than I am. The reason for me doing these videos is so that I'm not the only one laughing at my mistakes. Make it better, make the learning process more enjoyable. Entry period starts in 4 minutes. Could we? Nah. Do you know what? Watkins Glen. Let's do it. I've made my decision. G70, GT by Citroen sitting top spot though. How's that? GR4 NSX. I think, I think we know, I think we know the car that we need to go for. It's been decided. Citroen. There it is. Do we have a Citroen? Oh, we have a Citroen. Or what? What other car was it? Or the G70 or the NSX? Um, it's got to be. It's got to be the. Yeah, it has to be. Happy with that. Racing hards though. Not a fan. Traction control can go up to 1 for sure. Brake balance will be at the back, I think. What's the drivetrain of this car? Car set. Right, change car. GT by Citroen. Aspiration. Drivetrain. Mid to rear. Right, so brake balance to the rear, of course. I tried the brake balance to the front in the last race and it seemed to help a lot. Underestimated it a bit, but we still got the podium finish. Can't really complain at that. We can enter with that now, yeah, sure. Perfect. 7 minutes 20 to get a lap down. I've not done one for this yet, so this should be interesting. Spur of the moment thought, GR4 is too slow. For what I've been driving, I feel I'm out of practice to get a productive session out of that. So instead, I seen the Subaru Impreza on Trail Mountain. No, it's not. It's Eager Nordwine. I will use the specified car, four-wheel drive. Brilliant. Okay. Okay, that was the first time we've done any laps on here, but we've seemed to be able to get an alright time anyway. Not driven this Subaru at all either. It's quite interesting trying to grasp the four-wheel drive in Preza, especially through the downhill corners, and on this track the other way from what I'm kind of used to, or what my favourite is, to be honest. Miko responded there. Chris, good luck to all, I suppose. I'm not tripping, right? Did that just get us up to the start time for the race and just think, you know what? Let's not. Crazy. Well, I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place now. The next one's not until 14:20. What's our time sitting currently? Yo, did your game shut down as well? Well, not your game, but the lobby. Just curious. We're sitting 7,000th, not bad. There is time to take off of that though. Yeah, same for you. Oh well, man. I mean, I'll be joining the next one, and I'm assuming because that race didn't go ahead, we'll be in the same race anyway. Appreciate you watching though. We probably will be in the same race next as well. It's quite comforting knowing that it happened to everybody else and not just me. It's not one person. One person kicked out. What I was going to do is actually look at one of these replays here, sitting up the top, and then maybe get a better idea of acceleration, braking. We'll go with H Aslam. There we go. It's never happened really that much. Like it's happened maybe once or twice, like what happened in that lobby. Um, I can't complain, but it's just at the most random points. Yeah, that's very quick. Wonder what happened. Well, all we can do is try and get a little bit of a better lap time, knowing what we know now. Have you been on for long? Like, have you been doing dailies all day, or Did you take part in the Nations Cup or anything like that? What's the 50 Sport Race Trophy? You can really slam it around this track, I just found out. I didn't realise there was a trophy for finishing 50 races. I mean, I've maybe got it already. I've not put that many hours into it when you think about like how many hours people have put into it. I'll tell you right now, actually. So I'm only just getting up to my 600 hour mark. So still a long way to go. I didn't play Gran Turismo before this either, so there's a bit of a learning curve here. It's a very nice car though. I've always liked the Subaru, so. Oh man, well, you know, when you hit just about 600, man, you're pretty much you easily get sick of some things, but you don't really you don't really get that far unless you like the game or unless you're like invested in the game. And I'm on I'm wheeling pedals as well, like on a rig, so the whole racing thing is instantly just that little bit harder than the people that might be on a controller. That wasn't bad for one-handed there, having to kind of hold my controller. So if you've been playing it for about 60 hours, are you liking it so far? Like, what do you think of it as a new player? That last corner is very vital. I can't actually imagine how the race is going to be. 1 minute 11.4, pretty much as good as we're going to get out of that at the minute. Just got a 1:11.7 in quality. Nice! 1:11.4. Do you know what, man? That's very close. Just shows how far behind how far behind I am to the sort of top times though. Like 6 whole seconds. An awful lot of time. I don't know if you heard earlier, there is a hoodie giveaway as well. There's a post up on my channel. If you want to go and have a look at that and see if you want to put yourself in for that. It's our first merch drop, which is the reason we're doing something for it. Well, all I could say from my perspective, man, is that, excuse me, letting the car rotate just that little bit more so that you can punch the gas. So, like, where you would instinctively stop turning, just leave it a little split second after. I'm not saying this will take 6 seconds off, but it'll take time off. And if you're trail braking, I don't know, in this car it's not exactly realistically helpful. You're just sliding all over the place, but try and let the brake out a little bit slower as you're lining up. Try and replace that with the accelerator, you know, and then you should be coming out of corners a bit faster. The straights, pretty much. I hate to say that most of the straights are also just full throttle, because there's obviously a little awkward sort of weave halfway around the track that throws you off. I struggle with the big right curve after the downhill S bend. That's the one I struggle with. That's kind of what I'm capitalizing on at the minute. But I found if you're, I don't know, man, the car seems like it's going to slide, but it doesn't slide as much as you think it's going to. It slides a bit, but it's four-wheel drive. Traction's gained like straight away the second you stop inputting whatever you're putting in. Whereas obviously you could have like back wheel spin or whatever, maybe on a normal drivetrain car. So try that. Try and just accelerate a bit, like later, turn sharper. Okay, the moment of truth. Let's see if we ended up in the same lobby. hello to the other person that just joined. We got booted out of the last lobby. Um, for some reason or another. That was a connection thing. I then found out that it was everybody, so happy days. We didn't, man, but carry into your race. I'm sure. Keep a little bit of faith for you. Where did you start? Out of curiosity, starting position. Nice. So just keep clean laps, man. I'm sure the pressure enough of podium positions will they'll slip up somewhere, possibly. Just watch for it. I also make a point of putting my bottom right computer on the bottom right of the screen. Once I've done everything that I need to do and tweak my settings, like that, I put it on this one, and you can see who's behind you and like to the left and right of your car. Just a little tip there. Not bad. The driver rating went up for sure. It has to have. It's the first race we've like finished properly, apart from the last round of that cup that we're doing. Sorry, that we did earlier. And you finished fourth. Cool. I gained 2 places, got a clean race, and finished in fifth. That's not bad. But the next one, I'm sure the next one shouldn't be far away. Good on you, man. Well done. Next one shouldn't be far away. Yeah, it's quite mad when some people go into your lobby and see and then start watching. And it's quite fun because they can chuck in their times and you can compare it and quite possibly put like some pointers in there just to help out a little bit as well. And like on the other side of things as well, from yourselves to myself. Can all be on the same page. Speaking of pages, we're almost out of driver rating D. Now I didn't look at this before the race, I should have, so that I could see how much it was moving, but clean race and 2 positions up got us, I'm going to say one race. I'm hoping it's one race. We will find out. Thanks for the race. Everybody's gone. Should have done that a bit earlier. I seen the message up until you said I got upgraded to, I'm going to say third. Is this one ready? 8 minutes, not bad. Eh, Not my car, unfortunately. Nice one. So podium finish. Oh wait, hold on. Oh no. There's no pit, is there? I didn't look if there was a required pit, but I seen somebody going into the pit lane um, in that race. I seen somebody going into the pit lane just before. Um, we shaved a little bit off of our time as well, just a little bit. We could break into the top 5,000. Are you on a controller yourself, or I will see the response, but I'm going to sort my rig out a little bit before we start this race and get a few more practice laps beforehand. Okay, apologies for the delay. Let's. How long's left? 3 minutes. That's enough for a lap or two. Scratch that. That was a good time. If I do my absolutely hardest best time, I feel like I'm not going to be able to actually do anything in a race. I suppose that's why I need to get consistent laps. Consistent. We're in the top 5,000 though. That's what we wanted to do. So that's a win. Pat on the back. Some seriously good times here. Even on a controller, I can't do any better on the controller than I can on the wheel. I'm actually better on the wheel, tenfold than I am on the controller. Strange thing. 56, 55, 54, cool. Happy with that. Where does it put our friend there? 7. Oof. That's close. That's like almost bang on. Is it 8 tenths? 8 tenths of a second. Jeez, oh. It's a nice car, especially for this track. There was the GRB rally car that was put on this track before, and it was the reverse track. And the track itself was actually really good. Um, Match for the car, especially a four-wheel drive car. Like, you know, best not to mess with the settings on a four-wheel drive. I feel um, brake balance doesn't really affect you much, other than the fact that you maybe want a little bit more or less rotation in the front or back. That's about it. The race is starting though. Happy days. No way. Nice one. Let's have a clean race. Ah, well, yeah, indeed. Hopefully. We'll take a P3 finish. Started in second. The two guys that were in front were obviously quite quick. Matt, you finished behind me. Nice one. There was some luck. We'll be back in driver rate and see. Let's wait and see. 2 seconds, I'll get onto the... That was a good race, thanks for the race, well done. Usual malarkey. Thanks very much. Oh, one more race probably. One more race should do it. I wish they would just give you the results after your race, but they do it at the very, very end. Nice, man. Or just like you're thinking the next one will be the last, and it'll be like it just won't pop up. You'll find out you've got one more race to do. What I was going to do just before we actually went in there, I was going to look at some of the higher up. Yeah, man, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get the feeling. There's a couple of things that would make you cry on this game, like the further into it you sort of delve, but all worth it in the end. You just have to like getting spun out and continuing the race and finishing the race is like one of the important things. That's why, like, if I'm a whole lap behind, and like that's when you can kind of accept the fact that whether you leave or lose at that position, it's not going to matter. It's pretty much the same. But yeah, trying to stay in a race after being spun out, I think, is the most soul destroying thing for me because you just sat there in the quiet, no cars around you. It's good enough to catch up, but not for much else. Number 5 in the world, we'll choose it then. Be able to get a couple of laps in, I think, before the game. To anyone that just started watching, we're on a driver rate repair mission at the minute. I completely lost that. Not as if I was going to be able to finish the lap anyway, but oh well. I'm still trying to work out the differential setting. That's something I've not been able to grasp yet. Oh, would you look at that again? The same lobby, Matt. It's fate. It's got to be. It's got to be a little bit of that fate. It's got to be here. Sure has. Starting third, that's not bad. Oh my god. It's just 10 people in this race, is that what it's limited to? I didn't realise that. Yeah, man. Well, good luck in the race. You're a couple of positions behind, so shouldn't take too long for you to overtake that guy behind me or him to overtake me. To be honest. GG's, Matt. Good on you. Well, unfortunately, that is me for the day. I am spent. I'm going to get myself packed away and get everything ready, prepped for tomorrow's potential stream. Yeah, GG's, pal. Thank you very much. It wasn't a clean race from me, unfortunately. There was loads of stuff that I could have done better, but it is what it is. Nonetheless, I said earlier about the post that's on the channel, so if you want to go and have a look at that, potentially win one of the hoodies from the first merch drop, then be my guest. Um, but until next time, you'll get an update. If you are subscribed, you'll get an update of when my live streams are up and running, and or maybe I upload a video. So if you want to stay updated with that, you know what to do. Really like that. Didn't really like that one. I like the course. Watkins Glen long course is a good track, but GR3, GR3 Watkins Glen is that's a good race. Yeah, but for now, yeah. Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Matt. I'll see you in the next one, hopefully, pal. Trying to get my good livery car on, just to be able to send off. There it is. The one that we done round two in. How fitting. The round two Nations Cup car. Perfect. Okay, adios. See you soon.